Hello and welcome. I am Romeo Omari with the lunch edition of MBC News. Our top stories. The Ministry of Agriculture releases the 2025-2026 farm gate prices. The Ministry of Health and Sanitation says there is a need to increase commitment to waste management as the country is currently facing sanitation gaps in public places, schools and markets. The Malawi Revenue Authority underscores the importance of engaging civil society organizations in public sensitization on recent tax reforms. In our first story, the Ministry of Agriculture, Irrigation and Water Development has released the 2025-2026 farm gate prices, with the country's staple grain maize pegged at 900 kwacha per kilogram. The statement released by the ministry has also indicated that cash crops and legumes will fetch higher prices compared to last year. Speaking to MBC, spokesperson in the ministry, Salome Gangire, has since called on agro dealers and processors to strictly adhere to the announced prices, stressing the ministry will deal with anyone who will be found duping farmers by offering low prices. Beatrice Mwape reports.
According to a statement released by the Ministry of Agriculture, the minimum price for maize has been set at 900 kwacha per kilogram. Rice paddy is pegged at 1,500 kwacha per kilogram. Soya beans has been set at 1,700 kwacha, cowpeas at 1,600 kwacha, and pigeon peas at 1,500 kwacha. The price of pure beans has been set at 3,400 kwacha per kilogram, mixed beans at 2,500 kwacha, while white haricot beans at 3,000 kwacha. In addition, shelled groundnuts will be sold at a minimum of 3,500 kwacha and 2,000 kwacha for unshelled groundnuts. The statement has also indicated that crops such as chili will be sold at 7,000 kwacha per kilogram. Sesame will fetch 3,000 kwacha per kilogram, paprika at 3,800 kwacha, cassava wet like milk will be sold at a minimum of 1,000 kwacha per litre. Speaking to MBC, Public Relations Officer for the Ministry, Salome Gangire, said the prices have been set to protect farmers and ensure they benefit from their farming.
We are urging all the agro-dealers, all agro-processors, and all people who deal with crops to buy the various crops at the minimum prices. And then we are also urging our farmers not to allow anyone to buy below the minimum set prices. And we would also like to say that buying the crops below the minimum set prices is an offense. And therefore, we are going to involve other agencies, other stakeholders to help us so that our farmers are not duped, so that they realize their profits.
Meanwhile, agriculture expert Tamani Nkonomvula has commended government for releasing the prices, adding it will provide an opportunity for farmers to objectively negotiate with buyers. Mvula has, however, stressed the need for government to look into production costs and inputs when setting the prices, noting that this can affect efforts of promoting agricultural commercialization in the country.
These are just minimum prices. They are indicative prices, which should guide the farmer. So the final decision now should remain with the farmer in terms of how much he or she wants to sell their crops so that they are able to make a profit. But this is a good initiative that government has done, and it's now up to the farmers to utilize these prices in their marketing. So I think when you're coming up with minimum prices, there should be a true reflection in terms of how much has been the production cost of the farmers. But as I've pointed out, that these are just indicative prices. It will now be up to the farmers to negotiate upwards to make sure that whatever will be the price they reach with the traders should reflect their production cost at the end of the day.
According to the ministry, the prices take immediate effect. Beatrice Mwape, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Malawi has launched the second phase of the STOsa program, a regional initiative aimed at strengthening agricultural systems, improving food security, and boosting trade. The project builds on gains made between 2018 and 2024 with a renewed focus on data systems, pest and disease control, and nutrition. McDonald Chiwayula reports.
The STOsa Phase 2 project comes at a time when Malawi and the wider SADC region are grappling with food insecurity, climate shocks, and low levels of agricultural trade. Secretary for Agriculture and Water Development, Erica Maganga, said lessons from the first phase have helped improve market information systems and disease surveillance.
At the moment, we have enhanced market information system where we're able on daily basis or weekly basis to collect information on market information, which we use for decision-making processes on the pricing of the various commodities in various parts of the country. And again, we also worked on the sanitary and phytosanitary standards, and this helps us as people are exporting or importing agricultural commodities.
Maganga said the second phase will expand into nutrition and ensure farmers benefit from improved crop varieties developed through research. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, a key partner in the program, said the next phase will also strengthen agricultural data and value chains.
Because every country, has certain competitive and comparative advantages. So trading between the regions requires some standards, some of the, phytosanitary rules and regulations, compliance. So at the end of the day, this is meant to help assist farmers and small businesses and enterprises to produce well, to trade well, and to make their decisions for production and investment based on investment and information that is partially generated from STOsa 2.
In his remarks, Chief Executive Officer of Farmers Union of Malawi, Jacob Nyirongo, welcomed the initiative, saying it will empower smallholder farmers to participate in the regional markets.
We anticipate that more farmers will participate in cross-border trade, and through that there will be enhanced incomes by the small-scale farmers, and that will stimulate productivity and production at the farm level. But also capacity building activities that will be part of this project to also help in terms of skills development amongst the farming community.
The STOsa Phase 2 program, funded by the European Union, will run until 2028, focusing on building resilient, inclusive and market-driven agricultural systems. McDonald Chiwayula, MBC News, Lilongwe.
The Tobacco Commission, TC, has announced that the 2026 tobacco marketing season is set to open next week, Monday. In an interview, TC spokesperson Telefolas Chigwenembe said farmers and buyers are ready for the market. James Kajepa reports.
Following a series of engagements with the farmers and buyers, the Tobacco Commission says it is now set to open the market for Malawi's major forex earner. In the last 2 weeks, the Commission conducted cost of production discussions with the growers and buyers towards setting expected prices of the leaf this season. According to the TC's spokesperson Telefolas Chigwenembe, all is set for the market.
We're happy that all stakeholders right now are ready. We are just finalizing our preparations, but everything is in place. We are ready to open the 2026 tobacco marketing season. In
this year's marketing season, the buyers are looking for 170 million kilograms of the leaf against the country's crop output of 197 million kilograms.
Although the buying companies are looking for less than what we are projecting to have this year, as Tobacco Commission will ensure that all the tobacco that is brought to the floors is sold.
Meanwhile, agricultural expert Tamani Mvula has advised farmers to ensure that they bring to the market a leaf of high quality to increase chances of consistent better prices.
For the buyers to be incentivized to buy more, it will depend on the quality of tobacco that is going to be offered on the market. So my advice to the farmers is that whenever they are taking their tobacco to the market, it has to be well graded, it has to be well dried, and also the bales must not contain foreign bodies.
Chinkhoma and Limbi floors are opening on 21st and 23rd April, respectively, while on Zuzu on 5th May this year. James Kachepa, MBC News, Blantyre.
Government has rolled out a coordinated response anchored in policies promoting early childhood development child protection and social support systems. Minister of Gender, Children, Disability and Social Welfare, Mary Navicha, disclosed this in Lilongwe during the dissemination of findings from a nationwide radio campaign under the Mwana 1.5 project implemented by her ministry in collaboration with the Development Media International, DMI. The minister said the measures are aimed at reversing alarming findings that 83% of children under the age of 5 are at risk of poor development outcomes, largely due to limited early stimulation at household level. Doreen Sonani reports.
Speaking during the dissemination of the Mwana 1.5 project endline report, Navicha said government has lined up a number of interventions designed to drive impact at household level where children are raised and nurtured. Among the key interventions, she said the ministry is scaling up parenting support programs and community-based early childhood initiatives to equip caregivers with practical skills to stimulate children's growth and development. Navicha also held the Early Childhood Stimulation ECS strategy, which uses broadcast messages to promote positive parenting and early stimulation practices through radio, reaching households across the country.
This is one of the best projects that is offering parental care, parental program to parents and guardians. As you are aware, each and every parent should have knowledge on how to raise their children. And as you're aware that our children are going through a lot, so this project helps parents to understand on how to treat, how to raise their children. Every child has a right to learn, and you are aware that the President is very committed ensuring that each and every child in Malawi is being taken care of.
Development Media International DMI Country Manager Prince Kasinja said the project has led to notable improvements in how parents and caregivers interact with children, particularly when disciplining them.
When we look at how the outcome have been, that there's been a significant reduction in the use of violent discipline among caregivers that were subjected to the campaign. I think we are basing that the project has been a success.
Currently, the radio messages are being broadcast nationwide on 4 of the most popular stations, including MBC, with an estimated reach of 7.8 million people. Kasinja said the organization, in collaboration with its partners, will continue airing the messages used in both phases of the project across various radio platforms, adding that discussions are underway with the donor on the possible scale-up of the initiative. Doreen Sonani, MBC News, Lilongwe.
The Parliamentary Committee on Education, Science and Technology has commended the Malawi University of Science and Technology, MUST, for maintaining high standards of excellence in teaching, research and innovation. The commendation was made during a visit to the university where members of the committee engaged with management and staff to appreciate the institution's progress and ongoing initiatives. Mercy Zamawa with the details.
Speaking during the visit, chairperson of the committee, Mutani Tambala, highlighted the university's role in contributing to Malawi's socio-economic development through the training of skilled professionals and the promotion of research-driven solutions. However, the committee also acknowledged existing challenges, including infrastructure gaps, funding limitations, and administrative constraints, and emphasized the need for continued government support to ensure that university sustains its standards and expands its capacity.
We have seen that indeed they are well established. It is the university that is well organized, I would say, and they have a lot of things that they are doing on their own. And we have really appreciated. As we were walking around, they took us to the teaching hospital, which it is already there. They're just waiting for other equipment so that it should roll out. We have seen the lab complex that is under construction, and I think they are well established. And we have to commend them for what they are doing. They they're doing a lot of things, the drones, you know, and the other manufacturing of equipment like maybe the maize shellers. So they're really doing good.
Furthermore, Tambala encouraged all public universities to seriously invest in hostel infrastructure in order to keep students in secure spaces.
You know that one student died because he was cohabiting with a watchman. So that is not commendable. A girl child out there in the universities, they are facing a lot of challenges. These universities, they are built a long time ago with a capacity of maybe a few students. Now that enrollment comes sometimes in double, there's a need for hostels to cater for students, at least for sanity. You know, there's no way a young girl can cohabit with a male guard.
Vice Chancellor for MUST, Professor Adres Malata, believes that the committee's visit to the institution will bring tangible results.
Our hope and our trust is that they will lobby, and maybe not necessarily for now, but maybe mid-term, and then of course even next year. And also we have shared with them our aspiration for the next 10-20 years. So in other words, when they are lobbying, they should always have that in mind. Our expansion into the long way and then even going up to Calabi is something they must know about. We're not just talking about expanding here on our campus, but also we cannot start building elsewhere when we know that on campus we don't have adequate hostels, but we also don't have a lab complex. This institution was built without a lab complex. So now we want a lab complex. We have an industrial park. We have lecture theaters. So we have all these ideas. We have all these issues that need to be addressed. So for our thinking is that they will lobby.
The committee toured MUST Teaching Hospital, MUST Industrial Park, and purpose-built laboratory, among others. Mercy Zamawa, MBC News, Cholo.
The High Court in Blantyre has issued 8 directions on how the case concerning the murder of Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital medical practitioner, Dr. Victoria Bobby, will proceed. Dr. Bobby was shot dead at her residence in Blantyre in November 2025. Among the directions, Justice Ruth Jinangwa has ordered the state to serve the defense with the case docket. The court has further directed that any preliminary applications and responses be submitted before the application's ruling is scheduled for 30th June 2026. The court has since said 7 to 10 May as the dates for the trial. This is MBC News, a reminder of our top stories. The Ministry of Agriculture releases the 2025-2026 farm gate prices. The Ministry of Health and Sanitation says there is a need to increase commitment to waste management as the country is currently facing sanitation gaps in public places, schools and markets. The Malawi Revenue Authority underscores the importance of engaging civil society organizations in public sensitization on recent tax reforms. Moving on, the Ministry of Health and Sanitation says there is a need to increase commitment to waste management as the country is currently facing sanitation gaps in public places, schools and markets. Minister responsible, Madali Tualoi, made the remarks in Lilongwe during the launch of the implementation plan for the Executive Order No. 2 of 2026 and the handover of waste collection vehicles. Margaret Mapando reports.
The launch follows an executive order by the State President, Professor Arthur Peter Muntarika, mandating that all public places, schools and workplaces in the country must provide and maintain waste disposal facilities. Minister of Health and Sanitation, Madali Tualoi, said the sanitation gaps are leading to outbreaks of cholera and diarrhea, resulting in loss of life and increased health costs. The minister urged compliance with the new guidelines and the use of sanitation equipment to enhance waste collection and prevention capabilities.
We are changing the face of Malawi, we are changing the face of schools, we are changing the face of our markets and everywhere where people are gathered. And I'm appealing to all Malawians that this should start with everyone, should start at our household, should start at our offices, everywhere that we are, to ensure that Malawi is cleaner. We say prevention is better than curing.
The launch was conducted in collaboration with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Line Minister Ben Piri described the donation as timely. He said they will work collectively with central hospitals, among others, in waste management to ensure that the equipment is used for the benefit of Malawians.
We must admit we've been sleeping and that we did injustice to Malawians. Secondly is to welcome the donation. It is timely as it responds very well to the call by the President. As councils, we get these equipments and we promise that we'll make sure we use them effectively, economically, as well as efficiently.
Water for People Country Director Ule Muchuluzi applauded the government for taking a step in addressing sanitation issues.
We are proud of this initiative that has been taken. We strongly believe, as a member of Westnet, that this is the first step. Moving forward, we need now to collaborate and see how best we can implement this plan and take it further as civil society in collaboration with government.
The 8 waste collection vehicles, courtesy of the Global Fund, valued at about $824,000, which is approximately 1.4 billion kwacha, will be distributed to city councils and central hospitals in major cities across the country. Margaret Mabando, MBC News, Lilongwe.
As a way of curbing the spread of cholera in Blantyre, Blantyre Water Board will provide free water to the residents in its 860 water kiosks for the next 3 months. The initiative is being supported by the World Bank to the tune of 100 million kwacha. More in this report by Temba Mwari.
Announcing the development when he toured some cholera hotspots in Blantyre, the board's Chief Executive Officer, Yeremia Chihana, said the decision has been made in order to ensure that the residents are accessing potable drinking water.
You know, the policy of His Excellency Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika has made it clear that at least we should reach to as many people as possible with potable clean water. But the outbreak of cholera has given me another challenge beyond the policy framework. It has emerged that the Bangui Clinic too has received over 19 cases of cholera. So our immediate interventions have come in because at least we need to ensure that people are receiving clean and potable drinking water. So immediately, through the guidance of Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, we open up all bills, all potable waters in kiosks, which are about 870, which were either blocked or they were suspended because of bills. All of them will be opened and the people will be drinking free water for the next 3 months.
Among the areas visited during the tour is Bangui Community Hospital, where the facility has recorded 19 cases of the disease. In his remarks, Chief Preventive Health Officer for Blantyre District, Innocent Mvula, said the donation is timely, considering that Blantyre is still battling with the disease.
We welcome the news 101%. I'm saying this because to defeat cholera, it needs a multi-sectoral collaboration. And the coming in of Blantyre Water Board just shows that we are moving in the right direction to make sure that this cholera is defeated. Because these supplies, the chlorine that we have received, the water purifiers, will go a long way in the provision of safe water to our community members, because that's the huge risk factor that we are facing here, access to safe water.
Meanwhile, village headman Nkukuteni of Mpingwe in Bangwe says the free water will ease the challenges they've been facing in accessing clean and safe drinking water. In partnership with Feed the Future, Blantyre Water Board is also providing chlorine and water filters to over 2 million households within Blantyre. Temba Mwale, MBC News, Blantyre.
The Malawi Revenue Authority has underscored the importance of engaging civil society organizations in public sensitization on recent tax reforms. The authority's Commissioner of Domestic Taxes, Gray Malawi, was speaking during an interface between MRAA and civil society organizations, CSOs in Blantyre. Erlin Jimoyo reports.
Beginning this 2026-2027 financial year, government through the tax body is implementing a number of tax measures and reforms which are aimed at maximizing domestic revenue mobilization. However, it has been noted that some quarters of the society are holding reservations on the new tax measures. It is against this background that the tax collecting body decided to hold an interface with the CSOs. Commenting on the matter, Commissioner Balawe described the interface as vital as it gives them an opportunity to elaborate the reforms that are being implemented and the importance of the same to the citizenry.
There are also specific issues in terms of the electronic invoicing system, but we also want to discuss with them rental income. So those are the issues. One of the initiatives that we are taking is to involve almost everyone, and that everyone includes the CSOs that we have invited now. We want to explain to them what the EIS is all about. We know the CSOs are the mouthpiece of the community at large, and we expect them to go out there and tell them exactly what the EIS is all about.
Representing the CSOs, board chairperson for the Human Rights Consultative Committee HRCC, Robert Nkwezamba, said they want to get thorough understanding of the tax measures and how government is striking a balance between domestic revenue mobilization and public needs.
We engaged Malawi Revenue Authority to say we want to understand what these things that are happening, what are the taxations, what are the objectives, and how are they going to apply to Malawians. So this meeting is important because we have drawn a cross-section of civil society leaders in the north, center, east, and south to understand what's behind the taxation that is being introduced, the reforms that have been introduced, with a view to give us an opportunity to strategize how to support if we are convinced, or how to bring down and engage government to reduce some of the taxations that have been introduced in a way to protect an ordinary Malawian from the challenges that we are going through. So
the meeting comes hot on the heels of the rolling out of the electronic invoicing system EIS following the phasing out of the electronic fiscal devices EFDs and the enhanced administration of rental income tax. Erlin Jimoyo, NBC News, Blantyre.
Malawi has been invited to the World Spelling Competition, which is expected to take place in China in June this year. The competition will bring together different countries to participate in a spelling contest. The Chief Executive Officer of Spelling Bee Malawi, Louis Mbaula, disclosed this to NBC, saying the invite is a clear indication that Malawi is making good progress in education.
What we have gotten is an invitation from our friends from China that there is a 2026 World Cup Spelling Bee happening in July. I think this is happening either for the second or third time, but this is the first time. That will be the first time for Malawi to participate, and the first time for Africa to get involved. As of now, we haven't actually made a choice as to which spellers we are going to take to China, but for sure, the spellers that we are going to take to China will be top of the best of the best spellers that we've got, including some from this team, of course. It's a good invitation. It shows that Malawi is actually right to put on the map. So we're yet to get more information from them in terms of more details and all that, but just be assured that Malawi has been invited to the World Cup Spelling Bee in China.
In sports, the Malawi women's national football team, the Scorchers, will finish the FIFA Women's Series with facing India today at Nyayo Stadium in Kenya. Scorchers lost 5-0 to Australia in their opening match, while India lost 2-0 to Kenya. The winner between the two will finish third. The match will start at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And that's how we end this edition of NBC News. A reminder of our top stories before we leave. The Ministry of Agriculture releases the 2025-2026 farm gate prices. The Ministry of Health and Sanitation says there is a need to increase commitment to waste management as the country is currently facing sanitation gaps in public places, schools and markets. The Malawi Revenue Authority underscores the importance of engaging civil society organizations in public sensitization on recent tax reforms. Scan the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen for live news updates. You've been with me, Romeo Omari. Thanks for watching and good afternoon.